Hello chess friends and welcome to another game analysis. We are in the round 11, which is the final round of the Grand Chess Tour in Zagreb, and this is the game between the Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen and Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Magnus, which is the world champion, opened the game with d4. We have knight to f6 and then c4, g6, knight to c3, and if you get the bishop, so first d5 and then knight f3 and then if you get to the bishop on g7. So here we are in the Greenfield defense, and this is the exchange variation because Magnus captured the pawn on d5, so knight recapture on d5, and then we have e4. White is creating a very strong center with these two pawns on d4 and e4. So knight is under attack, knight capture on c3, pawn recapture on c3, and then c5. Black wants to make a damage on a very strong center in the middle of the board. So bishop to e3 and then queen to a5, pin the diagonal. So now black tried to capture on d4, so queen to d2 and then knight to c6. We have a rook to b1, and after that c capture on d4, c capture on d4, and the queens are offered for trade. Maxime did not accept the trade immediately, so first he made the castle, but the Magnus traded the queens on the square a5 and then knight recapture on a5, and we have developing move bishop to d3. Now Magnus is able to make the castle and then put another rook into the game. So Maxime developed the bishop on g4 and then we have a castle. After that bishop capture on f3, g capture on f3, and then e6. Rook f to d1 was played. Magnus put the rook on a d1, and his idea is to support the advance of the pawn from d4, so he wants to create a strong attack and support the d pawn. Rook from f to d8, and right now this pawn is hanging, so bishop to f1 just to open support from the rook, and then we have b6 on the board, and knight and bishop goes to a6, rook to d6, and then rook from b to c1, put the rook in open file, and rook a d8. We have bishop to g5, just attacks the rook, and after f6 bishop moves back on the e3, h6, and then bishop to b5. We have f5, so black offer pawn for trade. Magnus of course will not accept it because he needs the e pawn, which will support the d pawn. So he immediately played d5, and then Maxime continued his attack with the pawns on the king side, so he pushed g5 pawn, and bishop goes to d2. Now he attacks the knight on a5, and then f capture on e4, f capture on e4, and we have the move a6, which attacks the bishop on the b5. So here Magnus moved the bishop back on a4, you don't want to capture on a6, and then we have e capture on a d5, and then bishop goes to b4, attacks the rook, and the rook cannot go back on d7 because another bishop is controlling that square. So he moved the rook on e6, attacking the pawn on e4, and then a rook capture on a d5. We have rook capture d5, and then e capture d5. After that rook goes to e4, attack two bishops here on a4 and b4, but Magnus play one move in between. So first he give a check with the rook on c8, and king goes to f7. After that he defend the bishop with the move a3, and now both bishops are very safe. So bishop to e5 was played, and then bishop give a check on e8, so king to g7. And then it is time to advance with the pawn from d5, and Magnus played d6 move, which is trying to go d7 and then promote the queen on square d8, and black need to stop that idea, so he moved the rook on the d4 and then d7. So this pawn on d7 is very close to be promoted on square d8, but Magnus need very huge support for the d8 square because it is a dark square and black is playing with the dark colored bishop. So his knight is also very close. He can transpose the knight on a b7 like this way, and the bishop here on f6, and he's controlling and promoting square d8. And in this position, knight goes to b7, and we have bishop to e7, still try to promote, but Magnus, it is time for Maxime to play, so he moved the rook on e4, and then we have a rook to c6 move. After that, bishop goes to d4, so black wants to attack the bishop on the square e7. Also, he threads some checks on e1 and then rook e2, which will attack the pawn on f2, but these ideas are not important right now because Magnus now played the move rook to c7 and he sacrificed the bishop. So in this position Maxime resigned because there is no move he can play properly. So for example, if he capture here on e7, then Magnus can promote the queen and the position is completely winning, because if the knight captured, then he can capture with the rook on e7, and it is clear that Magnus is up for exchange and he will easily finish this game. So after the move rook to c7, the last move was played by the Magnus, so he moved the rook on c7 and he now tried to promote the queen on d8, and in this position Maxime resigned. So that was the last round, and after this round it is clear that Magnus is a winner of the Grand Chess Tour placed in Zagreb. I hope this video was instructive for you, and feel free to subscribe on my channel. So thank you for watching and see you in another game analysis. Bye bye.